There is a moment in the night when silence becomes louder than noise, when the world is asleep, yet your eyes suddenly open as if something, or someone, has called your name. You check the clock. 3:07 a.m. Maybe 4:12 a.m. Again. And again. Night after night. And you lie there wondering, why does this keep happening to me? Is it stress? Is it coincidence? Or is it something deeper? Something you can't quite explain, but you can definitely feel. Archangel Michael steps forward in this moment, not as a whisper, but as a presence, strong, steady, undeniable. And he reveals this truth. You are not waking up, you are being awakened. This is not random. This is not your body malfunctioning. This is not just another restless night. This is a divine interruption, a sacred signal, a spiritual alarm clock set by heaven itself. And the fact that it keeps happening means you have not yet fully received what is being sent. You see, there are millions who sleep through the night without disturbance. Their rest is uninterrupted, their dreams unnoticed. But you are being stirred. You are being pulled out of unconsciousness into awareness, because there is something happening around you and within you that requires your attention now. Have you noticed how it feels when you wake up at that hour? It's different, isn't it? The air feels heavy yet clear. The silence feels deeper yet almost alive. Your thoughts are sharper. Your emotions feel closer to the surface. It's as if time itself pauses and waits for you to notice, to listen, to respond. This is what many have called the thin hour, when the veil between the physical and the spiritual is at its weakest. But Archangel Michael calls it something else. He calls it your appointed window, a moment carved out specifically for you, where distractions are removed, where noise is silenced, where your spirit can finally hear what the world has been drowning out all day. And yet you've been brushing it off, haven't you? Turning over, checking your phone, trying to fall back asleep, telling yourself, it's nothing. But if it were nothing, why does it keep happening? Why does your body wake you at nearly the same time? Why does your mind suddenly flood with thoughts you ignored during the day? Why does your heart feel something it cannot explain? Because something, or rather, someone, is trying to reach you. Archangel Michael is not passive. He does not send repeated signals without purpose. When he stands watch over you in those early hours, it is because something is shifting. Something is forming. Something is approaching your life that you must be spiritually prepared for. This is your moment of awareness, your moment of alignment, your moment of decision. Will you keep ignoring the call, or will you finally lean into it? Because here is the truth that changes everything. Not everyone is chosen to be awakened like this. Many are called, but few are sensitive enough to hear it. And you, whether you feel ready or not, have been marked as someone who can hear beyond the noise, who can feel beyond the surface, who can respond when heaven reaches down. That's why you're here. That's why you woke up. That's why this message found you. Archangel Michael is watching, not with judgment, but with expectation, because this is only the beginning. This awakening is not the message, it is the invitation to the message. And what comes next will require your full attention. So the next time your eyes open in that sacred window, don't rush back to sleep. Don't dismiss it. Don't silence it. Pause. Breathe. Listen. Because heaven is closer than you think, and it is speaking directly to you. Type I am awake in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 111 is now activated. There is a reason your eyes open in the stillness before dawn, a reason the world feels suspended in silence while your spirit feels strangely alert. almost summoned. This hour between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is not ordinary time. It is sacred time. It is the hour when heaven leans closest to earth, when the noise of humanity fades and the voice of the divine becomes unmistakably clear. Archangel Michael speaks in this hour not because it is convenient, but because it is powerful. He chooses this moment because it is the only time many hearts are quiet enough to listen. Throughout history, this window has been known as the hour of divine encounter. Long before distractions filled every waking moment, prophets, watchmen, and seekers would rise in the early hours to pray, to listen, to receive instruction. Not because they were forced to, but because something within them was stirred awake. That same stirring is happening to you now. It is not new. It is ancient. It is spiritual rhythm repeating itself through you. Archangel Michael reveals that this hour carries a unique frequency, a stillness that is not empty, but filled with presence. During the day, your mind is crowded with responsibilities, conversations, worries, and noise. Even when you try to hear something deeper, it gets buried under everything competing for your attention. But in these early hours, the world releases its grip on you. The distractions fall away, the masks come off, and your spirit steps forward, unfiltered and exposed to truth. This is why you feel different when you wake up at that time. It is not just physical wakefulness. It is spiritual sensitivity. You are more open, more aware, more receptive. Thoughts come that you cannot ignore. Feelings rise that demand your attention. Sometimes it feels peaceful. Sometimes it feels intense. But it always feels significant. That is because you are standing in a moment where heaven is speaking without interruption. Archangel Michael stands guard in this hour, not as a distant observer, but as an active messenger. He watches who awakens. He observes who listens. He moves where there is openness. And when your eyes open during this sacred window, it is not just your body responding. It is your spirit responding to a call that has already been released over your life. Many ignore this call. They turn over, seeking comfort instead of clarity. They silence the moment before it can reveal its purpose. But you are being invited into something deeper. This is not about losing sleep. This is about gaining alignment. This is about stepping into a rhythm that connects you directly with divine instruction. There is also another truth that must be understood. This hour is not only a time of communication, but a time of spiritual activity. While the world rests, the unseen realm moves. Decisions are being formed, shifts are taking place, and spiritual battles are unfolding beyond what your physical eyes can see. Archangel Michael, the warrior of heaven, is active in these moments, positioning, protecting, and preparing. And when you are awakened, it is often because your presence, your awareness, your alignment is required. You are not being woken randomly. You are being positioned intentionally. There are things your spirit senses before your mind understands them. There are changes approaching your life that require preparation, not panic. And in this quiet hour, you are given access to insight that cannot reach you during the noise of the day. It is not forced. It is not loud. It is a knowing that settles within you, a clarity that begins to form, a direction that slowly reveals itself. Archangel Michael calls this the hour of alignment, the moment where heaven adjusts your path before the world tries to pull you off course, the moment where you are strengthened internally before external challenges appear, the moment where you are reminded that you are not alone, that you are seen, that you are guided. So when you wake up in this hour, do not rush to escape it. Do not treat it as an inconvenience. Recognize it for what it truly is, It is an invitation into divine conversation. It is a doorway into spiritual awareness. It is a sacred pause where heaven is waiting for you to meet it halfway. You are not just awake. You are being called into presence. You are being drawn into something intentional, something powerful, something that carries purpose beyond what you can currently see. And the more you honor this hour, the more it will begin to reveal. Archangel Michael is near in these moments. Not distant, not silent, but present and active. And he is waiting to see if you will simply go back to sleep or finally choose to listen. Type "I am listening" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 222 is now activated. There is a weight behind this moment that cannot be ignored. This is not just about waking up in the early hours. This is not just about curiosity or coincidence. Archangel Michael is not speaking casually to you right now. His presence carries urgency, and his message carries a warning that is meant to awaken more than your body. It is meant to awaken your awareness, your discernment, your readiness for what is already beginning to unfold around you. He speaks with authority, not to frighten you, but to prepare you. Because what you have been experiencing is not only a sign of connection, it is also a signal of incoming change. Something is shifting in your life, and the early awakenings are your first notice. They are the gentle alerts before louder moments arrive. They are the quiet instructions before visible movement begins. And if you continue to ignore them, you risk walking into situations unprepared, unaware, and misaligned. Archangel Michael reveals that these awakenings are often tied to spiritual protection. There are things forming behind the scenes that your physical senses cannot yet detect. Conversations, decisions, movements, and intentions are aligning in ways that will eventually touch your life. And because you are chosen to walk in awareness rather than confusion, you are being awakened early. Not after the fact. Not when it is too late. But before everything becomes visible. You may have felt it already, that subtle tension that you cannot explain. The sense that something is different, even if nothing around you has changed yet. The feeling that you need to pay closer attention, to observe more carefully, to move with greater intention. That is not anxiety. That is spiritual alertness. That is your inner awareness responding to what heaven is revealing piece by piece. Archangel Michael warns that not every opportunity that comes to you in the coming days will be what it appears to be. Not every conversation will carry honesty. Not every connection will align with your purpose. And this is why you are being awakened now. So that when those moments arrive, you will not respond blindly. You will recognize. You will discern. You will choose differently. There are also patterns that are trying to repeat themselves in your life. Situations that look familiar. People who carry the same energy as before. Cycles that feel like they are returning in a different form. But this time, you are not the same. This time, you are being prepared to break what once held you. And the awakenings between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are part of that preparation. This is your moment of intersection. The moment where heaven steps in before repetition becomes reality. The moment where you are given the awareness to stop what once continued without question. And Archangel Michael is making it clear that you must not fall back into old responses. You must not ignore what your spirit is showing you. Because what is coming will require a higher level of clarity, a stronger sense of self, and a deeper trust in divine guidance. There is also something else that cannot be overlooked. When you wake in these hours, sometimes your mind begins to revisit things you tried to forget. Conversations, memories, decisions, even people. You may wonder why these thoughts return at such a quiet time. But this is not random reflection. This is exposure. This is your spirit bringing forward what still needs to be seen clearly. Archangel Michael is allowing certain truths to surface, not to overwhelm you, but to free you. Because what you refuse to see cannot be changed. What you continue to ignore will continue to repeat. And what you finally acknowledge can finally be released. This is why the warning carries urgency. Not because something terrible is about to happen, but because something important is about to be revealed. And your readiness will determine how you experience it. You can either walk into it confused and reactive, or aware and aligned. The choice is being placed before you now. Archangel Michael is not asking for perfection. He is asking for attention. He is asking for awareness. He is asking for your willingness to listen when everything else is silent. Because these moments are not just interruptions. They are instructions. And what you do with them will shape what comes next. Type "I am alert" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 333 is now activated. As this message settles into your spirit, understand this: what you are receiving is not just for you. It is a seed meant to reach others who are still sleeping through their moment of awakening. When you give, you are not supporting a channel. You are sowing light into souls who are waiting for their divine interruption. The word says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And right now, your act of giving becomes a river that carries truth into places darkness tried to hide. I feel led to say this clearly. I am giving so that someone else can hear what heaven is saying before it is too late. This is your moment to act, not casually, but prophetically. Every contribution released through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen becomes a spiritual seed that heaven multiplies beyond what you can see. As you give, may doors open for you the same way you are opening doors for others. Step into this now. Act in alignment. So with purpose. There is something happening while you sleep that you have not fully considered, something that does not wait for your awareness, something that does not pause simply because your eyes are closed. Archangel Michael reveals this with clarity and authority. The night is not empty. It is active. It is layered with movement, decisions, and spiritual exchanges that unfold beyond what your physical senses can detect. And while your body rests, your spirit does not disengage. It remains connected, observant, and involved in ways you are only beginning to understand. This is why your awakenings feel so sudden, so intentional, so precise. Because they are not interruptions from nothingness. They are moments where your spirit is being pulled into awareness during active spiritual movement. You are not waking up from rest alone. You are waking up from participation in something deeper, something that carries consequences and influence over your waking life. Archangel Michael, the protector and warrior, does not stand idle during these hours. He is engaged. He is positioned. He is overseeing battles that are not fought with visible weapons, but with influence, alignment, and authority. There are forces that work to confuse, distract, delay, and redirect your path, not always in obvious ways, but in subtle shifts that affect your decisions, your emotions, and your direction. And while you may not see these movements directly, your spirit senses them. This is why you sometimes wake up with a feeling you cannot explain. A heaviness, a restlessness, or even a sudden clarity that feels out of place in the quiet of the night. These are not random emotional waves. They are responses. They are signals that something has been happening, something that your spirit has encountered while your mind was at rest. You must understand that not all battles are loud. Not all opposition is visible. Some of the most significant conflicts occur in silence, in stillness, in moments when the world appears calm. And it is in these moments that positioning matters the most. Alignment matters the most. awareness matters the most. Archangel Michael reveals that your awakening between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is often a call to reposition yourself spiritually. Not in fear, but in awareness. Not in panic, but in clarity. Because when you are aware, you are no longer easily influenced by what you do not understand. You begin to recognize patterns. You begin to sense intentions. You begin to move with purpose instead of reaction. There are also times when these awakenings serve as protection. Moments where your spirit is alerted before something manifests physically. You may not see the full picture yet, but you feel the need to pause, to reconsider, to observe more carefully. This is not hesitation. This is guidance. This is your spiritual awareness stepping in to prevent you from moving blindly into something that does not align with your path. Archangel Michael stands as a shield in these moments, not just defending you from what is obvious, but from what is hidden, from what has not yet revealed itself fully. And when you are awakened, it is often because your presence, your awareness, your alignment strengthens that protection. You are not passive in this. You are participating, even if you do not yet fully realize how. This is also why certain nights feel different from others. Some awakenings carry peace. Others carry urgency. Others bring thoughts that seem to arrive all at once. Each one has a purpose. Each one carries information. Each one is connected to something specific that is unfolding either within you or around you. The danger is not in the battle itself. The danger is in remaining unaware of it. Because when you are unaware, you move without clarity. You respond without understanding. You repeat patterns without recognizing them. But when you become aware, everything changes. You begin to see beyond the surface. You begin to act with intention. You begin to align with what is true rather than what simply appears to be. Archangel Michael is not revealing this to overwhelm you. He is revealing it to strengthen you, to remind you that you are not unprotected, not uninformed, not alone. You are being guided through moments that carry more meaning than you once realized, and your awakenings are part of that guidance. So when you find yourself awake in the stillness, do not dismiss it. Do not assume it is nothing. Recognize that something has shifted. Something has moved, something has reached a point where your awareness is now required. You are not just resting through your nights. You are being positioned through them. And the more you understand this, the more you will begin to move through your days with a clarity that cannot be shaken. Type "I am protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 444 is now activated. There's a quiet tension within you that you have not fully acknowledged, a knowing that does not come from logic, a sense that something is true even when you cannot explain why. Archangel Michael speaks directly into this space and reveals something that may unsettle you at first, but will ultimately set you free. Your spirit already knows what your mind is still trying to understand. You have felt it before. That moment when something seems off, even when everything appears normal on the surface. That subtle hesitation before making a decision. That inner resistance when you are about to say yes to something that does not feel aligned. That quiet voice that tells you to pause, to wait, to observe. But instead of trusting it, you have questioned it. You have explained it away. You have told yourself that you are overthinking, that you are being too sensitive, that you need more proof before you can trust what you feel. But Archangel Michael says this clearly. That voice is not confusion. That voice is clarity. Your spirit operates beyond what your eyes can see and your ears can hear. It picks up on patterns, energy, intention, and truth long before your mind can process it. And when you wake between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., that connection becomes even stronger. The distractions are gone. The noise is silent. and your spirit steps forward with greater intensity, bringing to the surface what has been ignored during the day. This is why certain thoughts come to you in those early hours. Not random thoughts, but specific ones. Names, situations, decisions, memory, feelings. They rise with purpose. They repeat with intention. They linger because they are asking for your attention. But instead of sitting with them, instead of allowing them to reveal their meaning, you try to push them away. You try to go back to sleep, to return to comfort, to avoid what feels uncertain. Archangel Michael warns that this pattern of avoidance is what keeps many people stuck. Not because they lack guidance, but because they ignore it. Not because they are not shown the truth, but because they refuse to accept it when it comes without explanation. Your spirit does not always speak in complete sentences. It does not always present evidence. It reveals through feeling, through sensing, through knowing. And that knowing is what you have been resisting. There are things in your life right now that you already recognize as misaligned. Situations where you feel drained instead of strengthened. Conversations where something feels hidden beneath the surface. Opportunities that seem right on the outside but feel wrong internally. You have noticed these things. You have felt them clearly. But you have continued forward anyway, hoping that clarity would come later. But Archangel Michael says clarity has already come. It just did not come in the form you expected. This is why your awakenings are becoming more frequent. Because what your spirit knows is trying to break through your conscious awareness. It is no longer content with being ignored. It is no longer willing to remain quiet while you move in directions that do not align with your path. It is pressing forward, demanding to be heard, demanding to be acknowledged. And the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. You may have noticed that what once felt like a small discomfort now feels like a strong resistance. What once seemed easy to dismiss now lingers in your thoughts. What once felt uncertain now feels undeniable. This is not coincidence. This is escalation. This is your spirit increasing its voice because it has been ignored for too long. Archangel Michael urges you to stop questioning what you feel and start listening to it. Not blindly, not emotionally, but intentionally. When you wake in those early hours and something comes to your mind, do not push it away. Sit with it. Observe it. Ask yourself why it has come forward. What is it showing you? What is it asking you to see? Because there is always a reason. Your spirit is not working against you. It is working for you. It is guiding you away from what could harm you and toward what aligns with your purpose. But it cannot force you to act. It can only reveal. The choice to listen, the choice to trust, the choice to respond remains with you. This is where many fail. Not because they lack awareness, but because they lack trust in their own awareness. They wait for confirmation from others. They look for external validation. They seek reassurance before they are willing to move. But by the time confirmation arrives externally, the internal guidance has already been present for a long time. Archangel Michael is calling you to trust that internal guidance now. Because what is coming next in your life will require faster decisions, clearer boundaries, and stronger alignment. You will not always have time to analyze everything. You will not always receive visible signs. But your spirit will know. And that knowing will be enough if you choose to trust it. You are not being left in confusion. You are being led in subtlety. And the more you begin to honor what your spirit reveals, the more clarity you will receive, the more confidence you will gain, and the more aligned your path will become. The question is no longer whether you are being guided. The question is whether you are willing to listen. Type "I trust my spirit" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 555 is now activated. There is a pattern forming in your life that cannot be ignored any longer. A repetition that is too precise to be accidental, too consistent to be dismissed as coincidence. Night after night, your eyes open at nearly the same time. The stillness greets you again. The silence surrounds you again. And deep within, there is a question that keeps rising. Why does this keep happening? Archangel Michael answers with clarity and authority, because the message has not yet been fully received. Repetition is not random in the spiritual realm. It is intentional. It is persistent by design. When something is repeated, it is because it carries importance. It is because it has not yet been acknowledged, understood, or acted upon. And your awakenings between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are not just moments. They are messages that are being delivered again and again until you are ready to listen. You have already felt this persistence. The way the same thoughts return. The way the same feelings resurface. The way certain situations remain in your awareness even when you try to move past them. This is not your mind being restless. This is your spirit refusing to let go of something that still requires your attention. Archangel Michael reveals that there is often a specific message tied to these repeated awakenings. It may not come as a complete sentence. It may not arrive fully formed. But it is there, hidden within what you feel, within what you think about in those quiet hours. It is layered, unfolding slowly, revealing itself piece by piece each time you wake. The reason it feels incomplete is not because it is unclear, but because it is being revealed progressively. Your awareness is being expanded in stages. Your understanding is being built over time. And each awakening adds another layer, another piece, another level of clarity that you did not have before. But here is what Archangel Michael wants you to understand. The message will not stop coming until you respond to it. This is why it keeps repeating. Because recognition without action is not enough. Awareness without response does not complete the cycle. You are not being shown these things simply to notice them. You are being shown them so that you can move differently, choose differently, and align differently. There is something in your life right now that requires your attention, your honesty, and your willingness to see it clearly. It may be a decision you have been delaying. It may be a truth you have been avoiding. It may be a direction you know you need to take but have not yet committed to. And every time you wake in that sacred window, that message rises again, asking for your response. You may have tried to ignore it. You may have told yourself that it will resolve on its own. You may have hoped that clarity would come in a different way. But Archangel Michael makes it clear that this is the clarity. This is how it is being delivered to you. And the longer you delay, the stronger the repetition becomes. What once felt like a gentle nudge becomes a persistent pull. What once felt like a passing thought becomes a constant presence in your mind. What once felt uncertain becomes undeniable. This is not pressure meant to overwhelm you. This is urgency meant to move you. There is also a deeper layer to this repetition. It is not only about what is happening externally, but also about what is shifting within you. Your awakenings are not just pointing to something outside of you. They are revealing something inside of you that is ready to change, ready to grow, ready to step into a new level of alignment. But growth requires response. Transformation requires movement. And this is where the repetition becomes critical. Because until you respond, you remain in the same place, circling the same realization without stepping into the next phase. Archangel Michael is not allowing that to continue. That is why the awakenings persist. That is why the message repeats. That is why you cannot escape it. Because you are being called forward. You are being asked to stop waiting and start acting. To stop questioning and start trusting. To stop delaying and start moving in alignment with what you already know. The message is not hidden because it is unclear. It is hidden because you have not fully accepted it yet. But once you do, everything begins to shift. The awakenings will change. The repetition will fade. The clarity will settle. And you will move forward with a sense of direction that no longer feels uncertain. Until then, the message will continue. Not to disturb you, but to guide you. Not to confuse you, but to align you. Not to overwhelm you, but to awaken you fully. Type "I receive the message" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now activated. There comes a point where a message repeated too many times is no longer just guidance. It becomes a warning. Archangel Michael speaks with a sharpened tone in this moment, not out of fear, but out of urgency. Because what you are experiencing is not something you can afford to continue dismissing. These awakenings between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are not casual interruptions. They are sacred windows. And when a sacred window is ignored repeatedly, consequences begin to form, not as punishment, but as the natural result of misalignment. You must understand this clearly. Every time you wake in that hour, you are being given access. Access to insight, to correction, to preparation. And when that access is ignored, you do not remain neutral. You move forward without what was meant to guide you. You step into situations without the clarity that was offered. You make decisions without the awareness that was available to you in those quiet moments. Archangel Michael reveals that many people do not fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they ignore instruction. They overlook the subtle guidance that could have redirected them. They silence the very moments that were meant to prepare them. And by the time consequences appear in their physical reality, they wonder why they feel unprepared, why things seem to fall apart, why confusion surrounds their path. But the truth is, the preparation was given. The warning was delivered. The clarity was offered. It simply was not received. This is why your situation is different right now. Because you are being shown this before it becomes something you can't easily correct. You are being given awareness in advance. And that is a privilege that carries responsibility. There are decisions ahead of you that will shape your next season. Not small decisions, but significant ones. Choices that will either align you with your purpose or pull you into unnecessary delay. And the insights you are receiving in these early hours are directly connected to those decisions. They are not random thoughts. They are instructions that are meant to influence how you move. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. It only delays your alignment. Archangel Michael warns that delay often comes disguised as comfort. It feels easier to go back to sleep. It feels easier to ignore what feels uncertain. It feels easier to stay in familiar patterns rather than step into something new. But what feels easy in the moment can become difficult later. What feels comfortable now can lead to confusion later. Because when you ignore what you know, you create distance between yourself and clarity. And that distance grows over time. You may have already experienced moments like this in the past. Times when you felt something was not right, but you continued anyway. Times when you sensed you should pause, but you moved forward. And later, when things became complicated, you looked back and realized that you had already known. That the signs were there. That the feeling was clear. This is what Archangel Michael is trying to prevent now. He is not speaking to you after the fact. He is speaking to you before it unfolds. But that only matters if you choose to listen. There is also another danger in ignoring this sacred window. The more you dismiss it, the less sensitive you become to it. Not because the guidance stops, but because your awareness becomes dull. What once felt clear begins to feel distant. What once felt strong begins to feel faint. And over time, you may begin to question whether it was ever real at all. But it was real. And it still is. The difference is in your response. Archangel Michael does not force alignment. He offers it. He reveals it. He repeats it. But the decision to accept it remains with you. And that decision determines whether you move forward with clarity or continue in cycles of confusion. This is why the warning carries weight. Because this moment matters. This is not just another night. This is not just another awakening. This is a turning point. A moment where you either begin to honor what is being shown to you or continue to overlook it. And what you choose now will shape what comes next. You are not being asked to do something complicated. You are being asked to pay attention, to pause when you wake, to listen instead of dismissing, to trust instead of questioning everything, to acknowledge what is rising within you instead of pushing it away. Because within those moments is guidance that you will not receive anywhere else. And once you begin to honor it, everything begins to change. Clarity increases. Confusion decreases. Direction becomes steady. Decisions become easier. And your path begins to align in ways that feel natural rather than forced. But it begins with a choice. The choice to stop ignoring what has been consistently shown to you. The choice to recognize that this is not random. The choice to treat this sacred window with the importance it deserves. Archangel Michael is watching, not to judge, but to see if you are ready. Ready to move from awareness into action. Ready to shift from hesitation into alignment. Ready to step into the clarity that has already been given to you. Do not miss this moment, because it has been sent to you for a reason. Type "I will not ignore" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 777 is now activated. Now that the pattern has been revealed, now that the meaning behind your awakenings has been uncovered, Archangel Michael does not leave you in uncertainty. He does not simply warn without guiding. He does not reveal without instructing. In this moment, his voice becomes direct, steady, and unmistakably clear. Because knowing why you are waking is only the beginning. What truly matters is what you do next. When your eyes open between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your first instinct has been to return to sleep, to escape the moment, to avoid the stillness. But Archangel Michael says this must change. Because that moment is not empty, it is filled with presence. And your response in that moment determines whether you receive what has been prepared for you. The first instruction is simple, yet powerful. Do not rush. When you wake up, resist the urge to immediately move, to check your phone, to distract yourself. Remain still. Allow the moment to settle around you. Because within that stillness, your awareness sharpens. Your spirit becomes more receptive. And what is meant to reach you begins to surface more clearly. Here is a difference between being awake and being present. And this hour is calling you into presence. Archangel Michael urges you to take a breath, not just physically, but intentionally. A deep, steady breath that grounds you in the moment. Because when you breathe with awareness, you shift from reaction into alignment. You move from confusion into clarity. You open yourself to receive instead of resisting what is being offered. Then comes the next instruction. Listen without forcing. Do not try to control what comes to your mind. Do not try to create meaning where there is none. Simply observe. What thoughts rise naturally? What feelings surface without effort? What names situations where ideas come forward without you searching for them. These are not random. These are signals. Archangel Michael explains that guidance often comes in fragments, not full explanations. A single thought may carry more truth than a long analysis. A brief feeling may reveal more than hours of overthinking, but only if you allow it to exist without immediately questioning it. This is where trust begins to develop. You are not being asked to understand everything in that moment. You are being asked to recognize what is being shown to you, to acknowledge it, to sit with it, because what you receive in that hour will continue to unfold throughout your day, revealing itself more clearly as you move forward. There is also a deeper level to this instruction. Archangel Michael calls you to speak, not loudly, not with performance, but with intention. A quiet acknowledgement, a simple declaration, something as direct as "I am listening." Because when you speak with awareness, you are not speaking into emptiness. You are responding to presence. And that response matters. It creates alignment. It signals readiness. It confirms that you are no longer ignoring what is being given to you. Another instruction that must not be overlooked is protection. Not fear-based protection, but awareness-based protection. When you wake in these hours, your sensitivity is heightened. You are more open, more receptive. And while this allows guidance to reach you, it also requires that you remain centered. Do not allow your thoughts to drift into fear, into overanalysis, into imagining outcomes that have not been revealed. Stay grounded in what is real, in what is present, in what you are actually sensing, not what you are assuming. Archangel Michael stands as your protection in this moment. But your role is to remain aligned, to not allow your mind to move beyond what is being shown. Because clarity comes from stillness, not from speculation. As the moment begins to pass, you may feel a sense of calm returning, a subtle shift that tells you the message has been delivered. Do not rush to forget it. Do not dismiss it as something small. Carry it with you. Let it stay in your awareness as you move into your day. Because what you receive in that quiet hour will guide how you respond, how you choose, how you move. This is how alignment begins. Not through dramatic changes, but through small, consistent awareness. Night after night, moment after moment, you begin to respond differently. You begin to trust more. You begin to recognize patterns faster. And slowly, your life begins to shift, not because something external forced it, but because your internal alignment has changed. Archangel Michael is not asking you to become someone else. He is asking you to become aware of who you already are. And this sacred window is your training ground. The place where clarity is developed. The place where trust is strengthened. The place where guidance becomes action. So the next time you wake, do not turn away. Step into it. Remain in it. Receive from it. Because everything you need is already being placed within your reach. Type "I am present" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 888 is now activated. As you begin to respond to these sacred moments, understand this. Your obedience is not only transforming your life, it is opening a path for others to find their way back to the voice of God. Every time you choose to support this mission, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing into a harvest of awakened souls. The word declares that those who water others will themselves be watered, and right now, your generosity becomes living water flowing into hearts that are still searching in the dark. I feel this strongly. I'm sowing so that someone else can hear heaven before they miss their moment. This is not just giving. This is alignment. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just options. They are opportunities to act in divine timing. As you release your seed, may heaven release clarity, protection, and overflow back into your life. Step forward now. Give with purpose. Activate the flow. There is something far greater connected to your awakening than you have yet realized. This is not only about you, your sleep, or your personal clarity. Archangel Michael reveals that what is happening in your life right now is tied to something deeper, something older, something that has been moving through your family line long before you became aware of it. And now, through these early morning awakenings, you are being positioned to interrupt it. You are not just being awakened for information. You are being awakened for transformation. There are patterns that have repeated themselves across generations. Decisions made out of fear. Silence where truth should have been spoken. Compromise where clarity should have stood firm. These patterns do not always appear obvious, but they exist beneath the surface, influencing behavior, shaping outcomes, and quietly guiding the direction of lives without being questioned. And now, you are the one who is beginning to question. You are the one who feels that something must change. You are the one who senses that what has always been done cannot continue the same way. Archangel Michael calls you the point of interruption, the moment where repetition meets resistance, the place where cycles begin to break, not through force, but through awareness and obedience. Because cycles do not end by accident. They end when someone sees them clearly and chooses differently. But someone is you. This is why your awakenings feel so significant. Because what is being revealed to you is not only about your present situation. It is about patterns that have been carried, repeated, and reinforced over time. And now, for the first time, they are being exposed to someone who is willing to see them. But seeing is only the first step. Obedience is what breaks the cycle. Archangel Michael makes this clear. Awareness without action keeps the cycle alive. You can recognize the pattern, you can understand it, you can even speak about it. But until you choose differently, it continues. It may change form. It may appear in new ways, but it does not end. This is why your response to these awakenings matters so deeply. Because each time you listen, each time you trust, each time you act in alignment with what is being shown to you, you are not only changing your path, you are changing the direction of everything connected to you. You are setting a new standard. You are creating a new pattern. You are establishing a new way forward that was not present before. There may be resistance when you do this. Not always from others directly, but from familiarity itself. The pull to return to what is known, even when it is not aligned. The temptation to respond the way you always have. The pressure to maintain what has always been, simply because it feels easier. But Archangel Michael warns that what is familiar is not always what is right, and what is comfortable is not always what is aligned. You are being called to choose alignment over familiarity, to choose clarity over comfort, to choose truth over repetition. And this is where obedience becomes powerful. Obedience is not about control. It is not about restriction. It is about alignment with what is already known within you. It is about acting on what your spirit has revealed, even when your mind still has questions. It is about trusting that what you have been shown carries purpose, even when it requires you to move differently than before. Every time you choose to listen instead of ignore, you weaken the cycle. Every time you choose to act instead of delay, you disrupt the pattern. Every time you choose to trust instead of doubt, you step further into freedom. This is not always easy. There will be moments where you question your decision. Moments where you wonder if you are overreacting, if you are changing too much, if you are stepping away from what you should maintain. But in those moments, Archangel Michael reminds you to return to what you felt in the stillness. Return to what was shown to you when everything else was quiet. Because that is where truth was revealed without interference. You are not being asked to break everything at once. You are being asked to respond one moment at a time, one decision at a time, one act of alignment at a time. And over time, those moments build. They form a new direction. They create a new outcome. They establish a new foundation that others may not understand immediately, but will eventually recognize. Because when cycles break, the change is undeniable. Not always immediately, but consistently. And that consistency is what transforms everything. Archangel Michael stands with you in this process, not forcing change, but supporting it. Not demanding perfection, but guiding alignment. You are not alone in this responsibility. You are supported, protected, and positioned to succeed in what you have been called to do. But the decision remains yours. To continue what has always been, or to step into what is now possible. You are not just waking up at night. You are waking up in purpose. And what you choose to do with that awakening will determine not only your future, but the future of everything connected to you. Type "I break the cycle" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 999 is now activated. There is a moment that follows obedience that many people never reach, not because it is unavailable, but because they stop just before it begins. Archangel Michael speaks now of that moment, the shift. Not a loud, dramatic event that the world immediately recognizes, but a deep, undeniable transformation that begins within you and then unfolds around you with precision. This shift is not slujekaki. It is the direct result of alignment, and it begins the moment you choose to respond correctly to what has been shown to you. You may be expecting something sudden, something external, something that clearly wants the change. But Archangel Michael reveals that the first shift happens quietly. It happens in your perception. The way you see things begins to change. Situations that once confused you become clear. People who once seemed trustworthy begin to reveal deeper layers. Decisions that once felt complicated become simple. Not because the world has changed yet, but because you have. Clarity is the first sign of alignment. When you begin to listen during those early hours, when you begin to trust what your spirit reveals, your mind starts to follow. The internal conflict that once held you back begins to settle. You no longer feel pulled in multiple directions. You no longer question every step. There is a steadiness that begins to form, a quiet confidence that does not need validation. Archangel Michael calls this the foundation of your shift. From there, external changes begin to follow. You will notice that certain situations begin to fall away without force. Conversations that once continued will suddenly stop. Opportunity that once seemed important will lose their pull. People who once had constant access to your energy will begin to distance themselves. This is not loss. This is realignment. This is the natural result of your internal shift being reflected externally. When you change, what does not align with you can no longer remain the same. This is where many misunderstand the process. They see things leaving and assume something is going wrong. But Archangel Michael makes it clear that what is leaving was never meant to remain in your next phase. It was connected to who you were, not who you are becoming. At the same time, new pathways begin to open. Not always immediately, not always in ways you expect, but consistently. You may find yourself in conversations that feel different, opportunities that align more closely with your direction, moments where things come together without effort. This is not coincidence. This is alignment creating flow. When you are aligned, You no longer force what is meant to happen. You allow it. There is also a shift in your emotional state. The things that once triggered you lose their intensity. Situations that once caused stress no longer hold the same weight. You begin to respond rather than react. You begin to observe rather than absorb. This is not detachment. This is stability. Archangel Michael describes this as spiritual maturity taking form. You are no longer easily moved by what is temporary. You are anchored in what is steady. And with that stability comes protection. Not just external protection, but internal protection. You are less influenced by manipulation, less affected by confusion, less drawn into situations that drain your energy. You begin to recognize what aligns and what does not without needing extended time to figure it out. This is the result of consistent listening. This is the result of honoring those moments between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. But there is something even greater that follows. Direction. Clear, undeniable direction. You will begin to sense where you are meant to go, what you are meant to do, and what you are meant to leave behind. Not as a guess, not as a possibility, but as a knowing. And this knowing will guide your decisions without hesitation. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this is where your life begins to accelerate. Not in chaos, not in confusion, but in alignment. Things begin to happen with timing that feels precise. Delays that once frustrated you suddenly make sense. Doors that once seemed closed open at the right moment. Connections that once felt distant come into alignment when needed. This is not luck. This is the result of responding correctly. You are no longer moving randomly. You are moving intentionally. And when movement is intentional, outcomes become consistent. The shift is not just about what changes around you. It is about who you become within it. You become more aware, more stable, more aligned, more certain. And that certainty changes everything. Because once you reach this point, you no longer look back with confusion. You no longer question whether you made the right choice. You see clearly why things had to change, why certain paths had to end, why certain moments had to unfold the way they did. Everything begins to connect. Everything begins to make sense. And you realize that those early awakenings were never interruptions. They were the beginning of your transformation. Archangel Michael stands as witness to this shift, not as someone who initiates it alone, but as someone who supports it once you choose it. Because the power was never outside of you. It was always in your willingness to respond. And now, that response is creating a life that aligns with who you were always meant to become. Tap I step into alignment in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activated. There are moments in life where change does not announce itself loudly, where transformation does not arrive with immediate clarity, but instead reveals itself through subtle signs that only the aware can recognize. Archangel Michael speaks now to prepare you for what is already beginning to unfold, because when your life is about to shift, the evidence appears before the full manifestation. And if you are not paying attention, you may overlook the very signals that confirm everything is aligning. The first sign is a growing sense of detachment. Things that once felt important begin to lose their weight. Conversations that once held your attention no longer engage you in the same way. Situations that once demanded your emotional energy begin to feel distant, almost irrelevant. This is not loss of interest. This is elevation. This is your spirit outgrowing what no longer matches your direction. Archangel Michael reveals that this detachment is necessary, because you cannot carry everything from your current state into your next level. Some things must lose their hold on you before new alignment can fully take place. And while this may feel unfamiliar at first, It is a clear sign that change is already in motion. The second sign is increased awareness. You begin to notice things you once overlooked. Small details become clear. Patterns become obvious. Intentions become easier to read. You may find yourself observing more and reacting less. You see beyond words into actions. You sense beyond appearances into truth. This is not overthinking. This is clarity expanding within you. Archangel Michael called this heightened perception. It is your ability to recognize alignment and misalignment without needing external confirmation. And this awareness becomes one of your strongest guides as your life begins to shift. Another sign is disruption. Not chaos, but interruption. Plans may change unexpectedly. Certain things may not go as you anticipated. Delays may occur where you expected progress. But these disruptions are not obstacles. They are redirections. They are adjustments being made to align you with a path that is more accurate than the one you were following. This is where trust becomes essential, because what appears to be a setback is often a correction. Archangel Michael emphasizes that when you are aligned, not everything will move smoothly, but everything will move purposefully. Even the delays carry meaning. Even the interruptions carry direction. You may also notice a shift in your relationships. Some connections become stronger, more aligned, more supportive. Others begin to fade, not through conflict, but through distance. Conversations become less frequent. Interactions feel different. And without effort, separation begins to take place. This is not rejection. This is refinement. You are being surrounded by what aligns with your next phase and released from what does not. At the same time, new opportunities may begin to appear, not always large or obvious, but noticeable. A conversation that leads somewhere unexpected, an idea that feels aligned, a chance to move in a direction that was not available before. These are openings. They are signs that your path is adjusting in real time. Archangel Michael reminds you not to overlook small beginnings, because what starts small often leads to something significant. There is also an internal shift that cannot be ignored, a sense of calm that exists even when things are uncertain, a confidence that does not rely on external validation, a quiet knowing that you are moving in the right direction, even if you cannot yet see the full outcome. This is alignment stabilizing within you. You are no longer dependent on visible proof to feel secure. You trust the process because you have experienced the guidance that led you here. And perhaps the most important sign is this: you no longer feel the need to force anything. What is meant for you begins to flow. What is not begins to fall away. Effort is replaced with alignment. Struggle is replaced with clarity. And movement becomes natural rather than pressured. Archangel Michael describes this as divine timing becoming active in your life. You are no longer chasing outcomes. You are stepping into them. But here is what you must remember. These signs are not the final result. They are the confirmation that the result is approaching. They are the evidence that your response, your awareness, your alignment is already creating change. And as these signs increase, so does the importance of staying grounded in what you have learned. Do not return to old patterns. Do not ignore what you now recognize. Do not allow temporary uncertainty to pull you back into familiar confusion, because you are no longer where you were. You are in transition, and transition requires consistency. Archangel Michael stands with you as these changes unfold, not to control the process, but to guide you through it. You are not moving alone. You are not navigating blindly. You are being led, step by step, moment by moment. And everything you are beginning to notice is proof of that. Your life is not about to change. It is already changed you. And the signs are all around you. Type I see the signs in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now activated. This is the moment where everything comes together. Not as a coincidence, not as a random sequence of events, but as a divine alignment that has been forming around you long before you became aware of it. Archangel Michael now steps forward with finality, not to warn, not to explain, but to declare. Because what has been revealed to you through these awakenings is no longer something you can unsee, something you can ignore, or something you can return from unchanged. He speaks with clarity. You have crossed a threshold. You are no longer in the same place you were when this began. You are no longer the same person who dismissed those early awakenings, who questioned your intuition, who hesitated in your response. Something within you has shifted. Something has opened. And now, you stand in a space where awareness has become responsibility. This is not pressure. This is purpose. Archangel Michael declares that what has been initiated in your life will not be undone. The clarity you have received will continue to expand. The alignment you have stepped into will continue to strengthen. And the path before you will continue to reveal itself with precision, as long as you remain in what has been shown to you. You are no longer searching. You are recognizing. Recognizing what aligns. Recognizing what does not. Recognizing what must be released. Recognizing what must be embraced. This is the power of your awakening. And with that power comes movement. Not forced movement, not rushed decisions, but intentional steps that reflect what you now understand. You are being called to walk differently, to speak differently, to choose differently. Not because you are trying to become someone new, but because you have remembered who you are. Archangel Michael says this clearly. You were never meant to move through life without awareness. You were never meant to repeat cycles without question. You were never meant to ignore what your spirit reveals. You were meant to awaken. And now that you have, there is no return to sleep. There may be moments where you feel uncertain. Moments where the path ahead is not fully visible. Moments where you are asked to trust without having every answer. But this is where your transformation becomes real. Because trust is not built when everything is clear. Trust is built when you move forward with what you already know. And you know more than you realize. You have felt it. You have seen it. You have experienced it in those quiet hours when everything else was silent. That is your confirmation. That is your foundation. Archangel Michael stands not in front of you, but beside you now. Not as someone leading from a distance, but as someone witnessing your movement. Because the responsibility has shifted, the awareness has been given, the guidance has been revealed. Now comes your response. This is where many hesitate, where they wait for one more sign, one more confirmation, one more moment of certainty. But Archangel Michael makes it clear that you have already received what you need. The awakenings were the signal. The clarity was the message. A repetition with a confirmation. There is nothing more to wait for. Only something to step in. And as you do, you will begin to see the full weight of what has been set in motion. Doors will open in ways that do not require force. Paths will align in ways that do not require struggle. And you will find yourself moving with a sense of direction that feels natural, steady, and undeniable. This is not something you create. This is something you enter. A life that aligns with what you have been shown. A path that reflects what you have accepted. A direction that follows what you have chosen. Archangel Michael leaves you with this final truth. You were not awakened to return to what was. You were awakened to step into what is now possible. Do not shrink back. Do not hesitate. Do not question what has already been confirmed within you. Walk forward. Steady. Aware. Aligned. Because everything that has been revealed to you was given for this moment. And this moment is yours to claim. Type "I walk in alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now activated. As this final message settles into your spirit, hear this clearly. This is not just a video. This is a living stream of truth meant to reach souls who are still waiting in darkness for their moment of awakening. When you give, you are not supporting a channel. You are releasing light into places where confusion once lived. The word declares that when you sow into good ground, your harvest will overflow, and right now, this ground is reaching hearts across the world. I feel this deeply. I am sowing so that God's voice can reach someone before they miss their divine timing. This is your prophetic moment to act, not later, not casually, but now. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are your doorway to participate in this divine flow. As you give, may heaven return to you clarity, protection, and multiplied favor. Zap forward. Toe Buildy. Activate your blessing.